Elizabeth? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Moro, and it is such a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I just was at a dinner for the Chester County Women's Leadership Initiative, and our favorite, former second First Lady, Jill Biden, was there. And it was such a pleasure to see someone with her class and to hear what she had to share with us. And one of the things she talked to us was about thank you for coming out in a time when we're needed more than ever, because politics is about people. And tonight I'm here to talk to you about equality and security, keeping our neighborhoods safe. And I know what that's like because I'm a mom. Vince and I have 5 kids, and we wake up every morning like you guys do, and we look at our phones or turn on the news to see what they did yesterday. We always know he's going to have a tweet or something out there that's going to jeopardize our security, jeopardize our rights, jeopardize the things that we fought hard for. And we just kind of hold our breath. Well, you know what? The other morning, Wednesday morning, I got up and I got a surprise. There was a little CNN report about these women in Israel and Palestine, and they got together and they decided to march. They got tired of waiting 70 years of war and all kinds of horrible things happening in their communities. And they decided, you know what, we're going to march and we're going to declare peace. And I thought, holy cow, all these women marching, taking it upon themselves to not wait for things to happen, but they got out there, and these, if you know what the Middle East is like, they took a huge risk. That was incredible, courageous act of these women. And I feel like we have got to have an ounce of that courage and get out there and fight for the things that we believe in. That is why I am running. When people say, why are you running? Where did you come from? What are you doing here? I'm one of 11, or actually I'm one of 12 kids. I'm the 11th of 12 kids, and I had 8 brothers. I've been fighting for human rights and equality my whole life. And I can tell you that if you do not get to the table, you will not get to eat. In Pennsylvania, we send 18 congressional representatives there, and there are absolutely 0 women. Ladies, our interests are not represented in Washington. I have 2 daughters and a stepdaughter who are in college. I worry about their safety. Vince and I have kids in college, and we worry about their safety because not only do we have to worry about crazy bullets flying, we have to worry about a president who's made it okay to assault women and then to take away their rights under Title IX. I don't know about you, but there's a thing that there's 1 in 3 women who have been assaulted, and that's underreported. I was one of those women. I was on a college campus, and when you don't have a voice, you feel like it's your fault and you get victimized all over again. We cannot let our daughters go back to the old days. We cannot. We have to fight for their rights. Now, I have a background in public policy, political science, and women's studies. I worked in the Michigan House of Representatives as an intern, and I am the expert, I think I still hold the title, of riparian rights, which means to protect our water rights and our access to waterways. So I know what it is to make good policy. I think we have just too few policymakers in Washington who don't understand the implications of their actions, and they're not willing to stand up for the people. Because remember, again, politics is all about the people. And when I think about, as a real estate broker today, that I have to take an oath to protect the people because I'm taking on their most valuable asset. I'm not allowed to discriminate on anything except can you afford this house. I would love to see our politicians in Washington who hold our other most valuable thing, and that's our vote. I would love to see them take the ethics pledge that I have to take, which means no discrimination, no policy, that discriminates anybody on anything. And I see the policies coming out of Washington that disparages equality rights, women's rights, our privacy rights. Let's not talk about just Donald Trump, but let's talk about our current representative, Pat Meehan, who lined his pockets with money from Comcast and then had no problem selling your privacy rights so that they know what you want, where you are at all times. Big Brother's watching, and they just sold you out. And guess who put them there? I mean, we live in one of the most gerrymandered districts, so they put money in their pockets to get them to get into Washington, so they're not a voice for the people, they're a voice for the special interests who put them there. So we got to end gerrymandering, and we've got to put an end to Citizens United, which allows them to get unlimited funds. That's part of it. So many of our issues related to equality, to rights, to safety, to security, are things that all go back to our national security. It's about health care. It's about providing quality health care for all Americans and not cutting it off because you don't want to pay for a woman's birth control and then say that's not something that we should be doing or making the employers do. A woman has a right to birth control not because of birth control, but for a number of other things that are affected by her health. Talk to teenage girls who deal with acne. Talk to women who have terrible cramps. Talk to women who have endometriosis. There's so many things that pill helps correct. And for them to say that it's not needed to be covered is BS. Yeah. Now, Vince and I work in a lot of projects in our community. So community service is nothing new for us. We are working currently to try to save a battlefield just south of here in Westtown Township. It's part of the Brandywine battlefield, and even though I sell houses for a living, there's a company who I will not mention their name. They want to put 319 homes on that parcel. So Vince and I started a little neighborhood organization. And we got together and we formed an LLC and we raised money and we got legal help. And we're starting to get rumblings that we might be making in-grounds, because you cannot disparage the battlefield that made this country what it is, and you cannot dishonor our veterans who give us our freedom every single day. I sell homes to make a living, but I will not sell homes that are built upon the battlefields of this country. So I think about leadership, and I think about the qualities that you want to send to Washington. I think about the people who we used to admire. One of my favorites, and I know it's from a long time ago, was John F. Kennedy. And the example he set for us. He didn't just say, we're going to go to the moon and then have all the plans and everything figured out. He said, wouldn't it be great? Let's go there. And young people were inspired, and scientists were inspired to make it happen. We need leaders who inspire us, and not this backbiting, this bickering, this putting each other down. That is not an example for what our democracy is. Now, don't get me wrong. I have no problem standing up to somebody when they're wrong, and I want to be there in Washington to tell Mr. Trump, you're fired. I also think of the beautiful young people we call our DACA dreamers. And what did they ever do wrong to any of us to get the wrath of the president's pen is beyond me. Our immigrants, and I live in Kennett Square, so I get to see up front and up close what's happening in our communities when ICE comes in and does random raids and takes heads of households out of our areas. These young kids are going to school worried that mom or dad won't be home. We have mothers who have children who now the head of household has been taken to York, and now she is burdened with trying to provide for her family. That's not America. That's not the American dream, and we can do better. These young people are working here. They're going to school. They're in our military. They're paying taxes. And furthermore, most of the industries where our undocumented immigrants are here, They're doing work that we wouldn't do, but they're adding to the tax base. They're making things run. They're making things work. We need to make an easier path to citizenship so that they can be here for good and always, just like all of us. That's the American dream. That's the American dream we need to defend. Our civil rights are under attack every single day. Every single day it's something. And we have got to, as a party, come together and not be afraid. I think sometimes, like Dalen said, we get up there and we start saying, oh, they're this, they're that, they're doing this, but what are we going to do to offer them hope? It was so awesome to hear Joe Biden said, remember, not too long ago, we had an election that was won on hope. And I think we need to be the party of hope, and we need to be not the party of resistance and opposition, but we need to be the one of leading us a path forward, because Americans are going to be hungry. In all full disclosure, I used to be a Republican, and I switched because the party is not representative of anything any of us would ever want to be affiliated with. But I think, rather than see that as a negative, I think I'm your best weapon. I want to turn this district blue. I want to make it so that they know what we stand for and that they feel welcome to come aboard, because we're open and we welcome them here. Vince and I do a lot of farm-to-table dinners, and one of the things we love the most is when people come together and talk about what they're most grateful for. We need a place for everybody at the table. When I was growing up, that was one of my favorite memories. We all gathered together around the big table, and because of the way our family was, very often the college students would come home with my brothers and sisters who were foreign exchange students, and we had a model UN there. People talking about ideas, maybe not agreeing all the time, but it was beautiful because everybody had a chance. Everybody had a voice. That's the kind of America I want. I want a country that opens doors for us in education, opens doors for college for our kids, or maybe vocational training, because maybe college isn't your bag. I want to see America back into the land of hope that we used to have, and I think we can move forward every day. Together is better. We can do it. I know we can. Finally, the other day I was talking with a group of people, and the best compliment I've ever gotten in the world was this. She said, "You're the real deal." I am the real deal. I live in this district. I pay taxes in this district. My kids live here. Vince and I have built homes here. I've got a business here. I am committed to fight for the people of this district because it is beautiful. But it is beautiful because we invest in our community, and things could turn around so easily. You see things happening in the news about the opioid crisis, and we're losing people every day, good people, who fall prey to these things. I was in the real estate market in 2009, and I saw the crash. I saw what happened when bad policies happened in Washington, where our municipalities lost money, where our retirement accounts lost money, where people lost homes, and it's the devastation that Washington can do. Robert Kennedy said, "Government has the power to touch your lives in so many ways. It affects the place where you put your head. It affects the food you eat. It affects the roads you drive upon. It affects your freedom to move about the country or move across the ocean." We cannot let these xenophobic politicians in Washington under Donald Trump continue to bully us and make this country something we don't even recognize. It's time we remember the American dream and protect the values, our civil rights that we fought hard for. I'm for marriage equality because I think love is love. And I believe in every person's right to manifest their destiny however they choose. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah. All right, so we do have a question for you. It's kind of a tough one. I'm not going to pull any punches here. What strategy or what should our strategy be for gun policy reform? So what should our strategy be for some kind of gun policy reform?
We saw the devastation that not only happened in Las Vegas, but we also saw young individuals carrying AK-47s in the streets of Charlottesville. I cannot imagine that our founders ever had imagined that we would have access to weapons like that. I think we need to talk in plain politics. We have an uphill battle. Because I will tell you what, when I go to talk to people to get contributions and support, they say, we love you, we wish you well, we wish we could do more for you, but you're incumbent. You're incumbent. He's there and can do things, and he sits in House of Ways and Means, or he sits on committee here and there. Well, the NRA likes the other party, so they're going to come out and attack us no matter what we say. But I think the most important thing, people aren't stupid. We see more and more. I think you can say who in this room has been affected by gun violence, and you start seeing, unfortunately, more and more hands go up. I think Americans are starting to get that you don't need these special little weapons on your guns to make them go faster. Our founders made that law to protect against a tyranny across the sea, and so we could defend ourselves as a nation. They did not make that rule so that we could hurt one another. If you ever go in the kids' school, you see the doorknobs. They all have this special function now that you can lock the doors real quick in the event of an attack on a school. We can't let that happen, but I think common sense laws, I have the right of freedom of speech, but I do not have the right to move into a movie theater and yell fire and instill panic. Yep. I think we need to talk about these things in a common sense way. I don't want to take away your guns. I don't want you to want them. I want you to understand that there's a difference between a rifle that you use to go hunting for sportsmen and a rifle that shoots 600 bullets per minute. We can't allow these things in our society, because there's one thing these were intended to do. If you buy a gun like that, it's because you intend to kill somebody. And I cannot understand why they do it. We need to talk about background checks. We need to close loopholes at gun shows. And I don't know why it's okay if you walk into a hotel room with 20 guns, but I mean, we need some practical, common sense laws.
All right, one last question to wrap it up for Elizabeth. And again, same question that Dale and Molly had, etc. And Dan, what is your plan to promote and be proud of a progressive agenda? Kind of how are you going to be out there in the media, what have you?
Well, I got to tell you, one fun thing we started this week, and we had a picnic yesterday, and we invited all of the 7th District. We missed you all. We had a bunch, but you were all welcome. But we're going to continue to invite the community to come together, because I think the best conversion rate between two people happens face to face. And I think if we start sharing our agenda, our hopeful mission with one another, face to face, there's something about being in the presence of another person that a tweet just cannot accomplish. I think we use social media to get our word out, and I love what the ladies did to pull this together. I think they deserve a round of applause, because these kinds of things are awesome. One of the things I can say about all of us is I've met every single candidate I'm running against, and I respect them, because I'll tell you, it takes a lot of courage to run. And I think if we continue to support each other in this party, keep an eye on what the other side's doing, but I think we really have to focus on building from within and make sure we take care of each other. I think when people start to see events like this, and you start to see people coming together, that speaks volumes in ways that nothing else could. If they see we're having fun together, you want some of that. You know, you want to be in there. But Vince and I are doing something fun. It's called Flat Pat. How many people have had Flat Stanley in their presence? You with your kids? Well, Flat Stanley traveled around and got to tour different places. Our current congressman doesn't like to be with people. He doesn't like to meet us. He doesn't like town halls. And I will tell you, as a managing broker, when people came to talk to me, they usually weren't very happy and they're usually very emotional. But the one thing I discovered early on was if you sat and listened to them before you tried to problem solve, you'd be a lot more ahead. Well, so we decided, since Pat doesn't like to show up for the constituents of his district, we'll help him out. So we have a bunch of real tall cutouts of Congressman Meehan, and we have Post-it notes. And you can stick it to Pat. You write on the Post-it note and tell him what your concerns are, or what your thoughts are. And we're going to collect these. We're taking them all over the gerrymandered district of number 7. And we're going to make sure everybody gets an equal opportunity, not only to meet their current congressperson, but to meet their next one. And we're going to deliver these after the November election to our current congressman and let them know, we're going to stick it to you, Pat, and hold you accountable, which is what I think. We can have fun. I guess that's my message. We can have fun together. And Vince and I are all about setting up community organizations. We use social media. There's blogging. There's putting out pictures. But I think one thing that we can do together is share each other's stuff and make a web, make a chain, hold a hand. Do you ever see when people lock arms? You can't knock them down. Together is better, and we're going to get this. We're going to get this seat back. We're going to get this seat back. We're going to get the 6th district back. We're going to get the 16th district back, and it's so exciting to see. I'll tell you one last thing. It has nothing to do with the question, but I think it sort of relays what's happening in our country. Last year, Emily's List was asked how many women ran for public office. They said 900. This year, it's 11,000. So that's pretty darn cool. We're in a time of change. And just like those women in Israel and Palestine who could lose everything by marching forward, we have to be brave. We have to be brave like those colonial soldiers and their wives who decided they were not going to take it from the world's largest military. And they were going to stand for something that they believed in. We got to get that fire back in our belly. We're Americans. We fought hard for these democratic values, and we got to keep fighting to make sure they're there for the next generation and the next generation. Thank you.